Welcome to Soccer Gaming, and welcome to the channel where you can learn how to become better at Age of Empires 2, the DE edition. And in this episode, we are going to go over a few things around the 500 Elo, so a lower Elo on Age of Empires. We're going to go over what you see at 500, what you can do to beat these things, what you should work on, what mods you should have that are helpful, and what can you do to get above 500 and get up into the 600 Elo. So if you'd like to watch that, stick around. I have done quite a bit of research around the 500 Elo, and I'll be honest with you, I never got down to 500 Elo because there's a few things that I knew kind of coming into the game, but I know there are people at 500, and I know people want to get out of 500, and so I'm going to have a few tips and tricks for you there. But the things we're going to go over again is, what do you see at 500? What can you do to beat these things? What you should be working on as far as getting better, what mods you should have as far as like what are helpful mods that you really need that are going to help you, and then what can you do to get out of 500 Elo. The first thing, what do you see at 500? You're going to see a ton of Franks, you're going to see a ton of Lithuanians, and you're going to see a ton of Britons. So what we see here are kind of the best two civs as far as cavalry in the Franks. The Franks are like the best, easiest cav civ to use and go up. And then the Britons are the best archer civ for lower Elos. It's kind of basically you learn with the Britons. Basically you learn the game with the Franks and the Britons in the cav and the arch. Lithuanians, for some reason there's just a ton of Lithuanians down here. But what you're going to see at 500 as far as the players you're going to see, those are the civs, but you're also going to see a lot of turtling. If you don't know what that means, it means that you basically, the opponent or the players, put up a bunch of walls and slowly build their army, and they kind of just do their own thing, and you don't see a ton of great buildings. You're going to see a ton of gold mines on the actual gold, which is inefficient. You're just going to see a ton of those things at this 500 Elo. So the next question is, what can you do to beat these things? Well, the biggest thing I would say is to kind of just practice. I know it's stupid and you're like, well, how do you practice? Well, you just play games. You just play as many games as you can. You get kind of a feel for it. You get some knowledge behind you. And then the other thing is civ knowledge, and this is knowing what attacks what is good against what. And you don't have to know like the special ability of like the Kip check or something, but you should know that infantry usually counters the cav, and the cav usually counters the archers, and the archers counter the infantry. You kind of need to know those types of things, because you don't want to go into a fight where you don't know that your civ is cav and you're going up against an infantry civ, and then you show up at their base and they have a whole bunch of pikemen and they'll just slaughter your cavalry. So you kind of need to know those things going in, that your civ is a cav and they have a infantry civ. Then you need to know, oh well, maybe I need to make some skirms or archers starting out instead of my cav, because they're going to be making a ton of infantry. So the next question is, what you should work on to kind of help you in 500 Elo, either not to lose and go under 500 Elo, or how to kind of get up to 600 Elo. And there's two simple things you can kind of work on here. And the main thing is going to be simple build orders. And if you don't know what a build order is, it's basically what you should do to start the game. So a good build order would be, as soon as the game starts, you queue up a villager. Then you grab the two villagers close to each other, you build one house, and then you grab your last villager that is standing kind of further away, and you build another house. You only need two houses to start the game, and that is the most efficient way currently to kind of start the game. Then the build order goes to your sheep. You're going to put one of your sheep or pigs or whatever it is, one of your kind of herdables, underneath your TC. You're going to take all of your builders that just completed their buildings, make sure they complete the houses, and then they're going to go and start shepherding the sheep and taking the sheep and eating them. Then you're going to take people out of the TC that are spawning that you queued up. You're going to put them underneath the TC with the food as well. And the build order is kind of something like that, where you build 2 houses, you go everything to sheep until you have 6 villagers on food on sheep, and then you're going to start sending villagers to a wood camp. So your 7th villager out of the TC, your 7th villager, you're going to take to a wood line. You're going to put down a wood camp or a lumber camp, and you're going to start chopping wood. And where the build order comes in, you're going to do like 6 on food, then you're going to go 3 to wood, and then you're going to take the boar, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to build a house and build a mill on berries. And then you're going to send 3 people to berries. And that's kind of like your build order, so that you can kind of scout. You can kind of push deer if you want. You can kind of have that kind of beginning planned. And it's way more efficient than you sending out a villain. You're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with this guy, so I'll send him to this. And the way build orders work is they're supposed to set you up for feudal age, so that you have a good feudal age time. They could set you up all the way up to castle age, so you have a good castle age time, and they could kind of set you up for specific things. So if you're going to do like a scout rush early on, it could kind of set you up timing and food efficient wise. It could kind of set you up so that you can do a quick scout rush and kind of not have to worry about, well, did I put enough on food? Did I do this? If you follow a build order, then you will have that stuff, because that's the point of doing simple build order. The next thing, as I said in the last question, is civ knowledge. Know what your civ does, know what your civ is good at. So if you use a civ that is a cav civ, and you're really you want to do like scouts and all this stuff, and then the enemy goes knights, and you go, oh, camels are a counter to knights, and you go and, oh, your civ doesn't get camels, and so you're like, well, I don't know what to make then. Well, at that point, you should have known that, oh, we don't get camels, so if we go up against knights, this is what we're going to try to use to counter the knights. Or if you are a cav civ and you're going up against infantry, as I said earlier, you're going to know, oh, to counter infantry, I need to use stuff like skirm or arbalest. Does my civ get those things? Do I have a good counter against an infantry civ? And so knowing that stuff is going to help you take better fights, going to help you kind of win better fights. And then knowing that is you're going to be able to kind of set up. If you know you're going against someone that's Franks, you know most of the time that they're going to go with either a scout rush, or they're going to come with scouts, or they're going to go into knights and into the other things as well. And so they're going to go into knights, they're going to go into cav, and then they're going to go into paladins. So knowing those things, you can kind of set up yourself to be able to take those attacks on. So, you know, early on, if they're going with scouts, you could do a bunch of pikemen or a bunch of spearmen, and they will counter the scout rush. If they go knights, you know, well, I could use camel, I can do arbalest, I can do all these other things to kind of counter the knights. And then, you know, like, what can I do against the cavalry? What can I do against the cavalier? What can I do against a paladin? So knowing those things and knowing your civ, also knowing other people's civs, will kind of help you build your army, so that way you're ready to defend yourself and be able to win these games. The next question is what mods you should have. There's 4 simple mods I think you should have at this point. Small trees, that's going to help you kind of not lose your villagers and tree lines. It's also going to help you kind of know where some holes could possibly be in your tree line. Small tree mod makes it easier kind of to see, and so that you don't have these long dangly trees covering things that you don't know. Also, when you're like attacking someone, you don't even see the villagers underneath their tree line, because the trees are too big, you can't see them. But if you have small trees, you could see the villagers underneath the trees and the wood lines. So that's going to help you with attacking as well. The next one you should know is the town center circle. You want to have a circle around your town center and the opponent's town center, so that you know how far your town center reaches, as far as if you send your people underneath into the town center to defend, you kind of need to know when you can send them back to work once their army is out of the circle. It is no longer shooting at them, so you need to kind of go back to work and be more efficient. Also, with your opponent having it, then you know with your army where you can go and where you cannot go, because then the town center will be attacking them. The next one is the castle circle, and that's the same exact thing as the town center. You just need to know how far their castle can reach, whether or not you're going to do like a defensive castle or a counter castle, or if you're just wanting to know how far you can go before being attacked by a castle fire. That is going to be helpful for you there. And then the tower circle, which is the same thing as the castle circle, except that tower version, so you know how close you can get without being attacked, or you kind of know that, hey, my tower's not reaching the wood line that I wanted to. I need to make a closer tower so it can reach that wood line. And then the last thing we're going to go over is what you can do to get out of 500 elo. I've gone over kind of stuff that you can do, what's going to be helpful, but ultimately, if I want to leave 500 elo, what do I need to do? And I'm not going to go like super into detail about these things. I'm just going to go over what you should be doing. The first thing is knowing your civ and what they are good at, knowing your opponent's civ and what they are bad at. So if you are going with the Franks and you know that they have a really, really good food boom, and you can basically just, if you have enough people in a build order on gold and enough people on food, you get into Castle Age and boom, here you can make knights. And so at this point you can spam knights and get knights into your opponent's economy, kill their vills, and then ultimately they will quit out or resign because they just have no vill and they can't even create army to help fight this off. So knowing what your civ is good at is very important. It's going to help you kind of know what you're going to do in the game. There's a bunch of civs that are good at several things or that have several things. So if you don't have, like, let's say if you don't have Arbalest, or let's say if you're, you know, the Aztecs or whatever, and you don't make cavalry, don't go into the game thinking, oh, I need stuff to make knights. Well, you don't even have cavalry to be able to use. All you can use is infantry and an archery range. So you should go in knowing, well, if I need to counter this, well, cav isn't there for me to help counter. I need to come up with a different solution, whether it's arbalest, skirms, or if it's infantry such as the Eagle Warrior. So stuff like that you need to know. You also need to know what your opponent is bad at. So kind of, again, if you're going up against like an archer civ, just know that they're probably going to go archers. So why don't you use skirms to counter that? And so that you can basically kill their army, and then you can come in with what you're good at. If you're a cav civ and you're wanting to make knights, you can kind of kill all their archers or arbalests with the skirms while your knights are raiding. The next point is to keep villagers pumping out of your town center and send them to do something productive. So don't set a waypoint for your villagers to come out of the TC and then grab them and send them to do something. Always be sending them to do something like a gold, so that when they come right out of the TC, they're going directly to gold tile, or most of the time it's usually a wood, and then you kind of pull your people off wood and have them do something like create farms, be a farmer, or something like that. So always keep your villagers coming out, always keep them queued up, so that way you're not losing time for your villagers to walk places that they're not even going to do anything productive. The next thing is don't build directly on resources. Do not tile touch your tiles, which means do not put a gold mine right next to the tile of gold. You want to leave a one tile gap. That way your villagers can be the most efficient. In the video, I'm kind of showing you where you should put them compared to where some of the low elo at 500 put them. And it's just more efficient because your people could turn around, drop it off. You could fit more people in the gold tile, and they won't be walking around other villagers to get back to drop the gold off. And you actually make a lot more gold by doing this efficiently. And the last thing that you could do to get out of 500, honestly, is just be aggressive with your army. Most of these games at 500, and I mean most as in, like, I think I looked at 10 or 15 recordings and only one of the opponents attacked early, and they won within like 13 minutes because they attacked and the other person wasn't in a position to be able to defend because they didn't create army. So be aggressive with your army. You don't have to wait forever to build a full army of 200 people and then attack. All you need to do is attack with your army. If you build 3 scouts early on, attack with them. You will get out of 500 in no time, because most people, again, are turtling and they are just not ready to try to fight off 3 scouts. So scout rush works well. Even if you make 2 archers and send them over and put them one on their wood line and one on their millberries, you're probably going to win, because they're going to freak out. They're not going to know what to do. They're not going to know what counters that, and they're probably just going to give up, and you're going to get the win. So make sure you are aggressive with your army. You built them, make sure you use them. And with that will hopefully help you learn at 500. It will hopefully help you get ready for the 600s, which is going to be a whole nother video, because everyone wants to get better, right? Well, if you're having fun, you're enjoying being a 500, and you just enjoy playing the game and you don't really care about getting better, then that's fine. But if you do want to get out of the 500s and get to the 600s, these are some helpful tips that will help you do that and get you up to the next level. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also, feel free to hit the red subscribe button, because we are coming out on this channel with a ton of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition content. It's going to help you guys grow as players, and also going to help you have some fun along the way. Until next time, Slacker out.